So you know what I realized yesterday is that your personality is literally your personal reality, which means that your thoughts, actions, your beliefs, the world that you live in and your perspective on the world is literally your reality. And it's your personality. It's where you stem all of your decisions from. It's how you treat people, because how you view the world is how you respond to the world. And that's why I speak so much about finding the highest perspective that you can at any given moment. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but when you find a really high perspective on life and you see it for what it is, and you see all the beauty and all the contrast all mixed in together, and you see the perfect balance that this world can give you, then you feel good. And when you feel good, you're in alignment with what your inner being or source energy or God or whatever you want to call it, that part of you that is divine love. When you are seeing the world from that perspective, that feels the best. And that is how your inner being communicates with you, by your emotions. And so if your personality is your personal reality and you want to attract somebody into your life that matches your personal reality or your personality, then all you need to do is focus on your perspective on life and mold it to something that is pleasing to you. You are in control of so much more than you realize. We have creative control over our lives that is unexplainable. If somebody's personal reality is their personal personality, then it makes sense why we know that we love everyone, but that we prefer others than other people. Like, we have preferences on who we want to hang around with, and that's the people that sort of complement your personal reality, or who complement your perspective on life. And that's why two very, very different people sometimes don't hang out. However, sometimes they do, and sometimes they find such joy in seeing the different perspectives. That's why as you get older, your personality changes, because your perspective changes, and the way that you see the world is molded and shaped by all your experiences and all your choices and what you learned from those choices. It's a big reason why a lot of relationships don't last terribly long, because people are always changing. And I know that happened for me for sure, because I was in a long-term relationship a number of years ago, and it went for about 5 years, and I changed so much in those 5 years that by the end of it, he couldn't recognize me, and he didn't like the changes that I'd made, because they weren't really a match to his anymore. I no longer wanted to smoke weed. I didn't want to escape reality with him. I didn't want to drink or go out or do anything like that. And I was very focused on learning about spirituality and meditating, and my habits and behaviors and actions and choices all changed. And then when I started putting boundaries in place, he didn't like that either. And so if you're going through something similar, just know that because a relationship ends, it doesn't dictate your worth. It's literally just an indicator of whether you are a vibrational match to that person or not. And that changes all the time. And it's necessary part of life to move in and out of relationships, because you need new perspectives. And if the person that you're with right now is no longer a match to you, then it won't take long before you won't be able to stand it, and you'll have to leave. And generally, if you ignore your intuition too long, for a long time like I did, the desire to leave will just get bigger and bigger and bigger until you can't ignore it. And that's the beauty of, law of attraction, is that eventually you will go separate ways. I had a choice to make when I left this man. And we had just bought a house together, and we had only been living there for 6 weeks. And he was taking drugs every weekend and making music in his bedroom, like in his office, and I was meditating day and night and working a lot. And it just became so blaringly obvious that we weren't meant to be together anymore, because our behaviors and our actions and choices and the way that we spoke and everything was just so different. And so I left. It was challenging, but it was like it was the most logical thing. And I had to make a choice in that moment, because we'd only just moved into this house and we were obviously planning to get married and have kids and all the rest of it. Our lives were like on this trajectory together, and I had to make a choice. I either need to let go of this part of me that wants more, or I need to embrace it. And it was kind of like I either had to match him or I had to leave. And that's how a lot of it goes, where you either got to meet that person where they're at and conform to how they are, or you got to move on. And for him, it was hard for him to understand, because he hadn't changed a great deal. He was obviously, we all change constantly, but his changes weren't as obvious as mine, and his behaviors were very similar to when we first met. And when we first met, that was in alignment with where I was at, and it was a really big part of my journey to let go of all of that. But he wasn't either ready, or it wasn't really in his plan to let go of any of the stuff that I had. And so it was quite a jarring experience for him to have someone who he thought he knew change, because he just couldn't understand or resonate with these new parts of me, and he didn't want to match that. And there's no way of forcing it. And I remember trying my damnedest to get him to change with me. I thought that I was loving him by getting him to change his behaviors, because I didn't think that they were healthy, and I thought that I was doing it for his best interest. But trying to get somebody to do something that you're doing, I mean, you shouldn't have to try that hard. It should be inspired. It shouldn't be forced. And he never conformed anyway, which I respect him for. And I learned a lot from him, because he was very stubborn and very would never ever change for somebody else. And however, he would lie that he had changed for somebody else, and he would say what you wanted to hear. But I did respect the part of him that was true to himself, and that he didn't conform to what other people wanted from him. And although it probably would have benefited him, I actually really respect that, because as an empath, I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with this, whether you're an empath or not. You can tend to mold your behavior to match those around you, because that's what they're asking of you, so that you save drama. And I guess his way of saving the drama was just to lie about a bunch of things, and sort of keep his freedom in that sense, which I don't agree with the lying, but I was a vibrational match to that. You know, I was attracting that, and I was co-creating that experience with him. But I learned a lot from that, and I appreciate so much his free will and his single-mindedness, so to speak, because there is so much power in maintaining your own perspective. Now, a lot of us can get a lot of benefit from gleaning from other people's perspectives, and that's how you grow, is by you like observe somebody else and how they do stuff, and you're like, oh, I actually quite like that for me, I might try that on. And I did that a lot. I was constantly molding and shifting and finding a new way of living, a new, more comfortable way of living. And but I really think that a lot of my distress in my younger years was about splitting my perspective into, like, it was almost like I would step out of my body and into the bodies of everyone who was looking at me, and I would try to contort myself to fit everyone's perspective, but it was too hard because everyone is so damn different. And I wanted to be my own person, but before I wanted to be my own person, I wanted to please other people, because I got my self-worth from what other people thought of me. Whereas my ex, he didn't seem to have that, and I'll never forget how strong that was in him to not conform to other people. I don't think he did it in the healthiest way, but he still did it, and it was something for me to observe. Like the polarities between us was really amazing, and it was such an amazing learning experience, and I'll always treasure it because such a great training ground, being with another personality that was a really bold personality, and I loved it. So if there are parts of your personality that you don't really like, if there are things and actions and perspectives and ideas that you have that you don't like, you can change them. You don't have to be the same person day in, day out. We are meant to evolve. And so change your personality, change your personal reality to something that suits you better, something that feels better to you, because your emotions are telling you everything you need to know. So if there are parts of you that you don't like, maybe you feel like you're too judgmental, maybe you feel like you're too sensitive to other people's opinions of you, you can change that. That does not have to be your set identity forever. You just need to be in tune with your emotions and move with them to find a perspective and a thought pattern that's pleasing to you. And the way that you change your personal reality is just by one thought at a time, because that's all we're doing, right? Like one thought after another thought after another thought, and it's the thoughts that you think day in, day out that create your reality and that shape your perspective. And you don't have to listen to every single thought that goes through your mind. And that was one of the most profound things that I learned for myself, is that I used to have a lot of thoughts about my appearance because I had an eating disorder growing up, and the thoughts would come in all the fucking time. And it was I would say 70 to 80% of my thought life was about how I was perceived by other people. And so when I talk about split energy and feeling like I was looking at myself through the eyes of loads of other people and not even accurate descriptions of what they probably thought of me, I literally know what I'm talking about, because it felt awful. It was exhausting and it was taxing, and it makes you behave in ways that you don't want to behave in because you're trying to achieve worthiness through the eyes of other people. And it's just a waste of time. But one of the best things that I learned in that experience was that I don't have to listen to every thought that goes through my head. Just because it lands in your mind doesn't mean it's true. You get to argue with it. We will argue. And that's what I did at first. I started arguing. I'm like, why is that true? Who says? Says that I wasn't skinny enough. And I'm like, well, who is saying this? Like, who is this voice in my head? Because I don't want to agree with it anymore. Whereas when I was younger, I used to just be like, oh my God, you're so right, and just get into agreement with this voice inside my head. And now I know that I get to be the selective sifter of what thoughts I think. And so I am so much more picky and choosy about what I want to think about.